session. Today will be an activity, so I hope you're all excited about that. Let me just share the screen and we can get started with the activity as soon as possible. I will explain it once again. So can somebody tell me what we did in the last session in terms of talking about the elements of a story? We talked about what the elements of a story can be, right? So can somebody maybe summarize that, talk a little bit about what we did in the last session on Monday? Anyone? How many of you were here in the last session? So Sneha, do you remember what we talked about in terms of the elements of a story?
Yes, ma'am. And we talked about the introduction of this characters and
Characters, yes.
the plot, uh, the setting,
The setting, yes, yes.
the conflict, the challenges,
Right. The conflict. What did you understand by the word conflict, by the term conflict?
uh, the protagonist. We are going to give some challenge to the protagonist, and when he or she overcome that challenge, then it will uh, contribute to our climax.
Right. More or less correct. Conflict is generally the central turning point of the story, what creates the story, right? So it is either that the protagonist has gotten involved in a murder case, or it may be that the protagonist is grieving and is looking for a way to go over that grief, right? So it can be anything, but it's the central challenge that the main character or a set of characters in the story go through and try to overcome. That is what the traditional story tells you to do. You know, there is a problem, there is a conflict, and the central character overcomes that conflict. Right? And that is what makes the story what it is. So yesterday we talked about the elements of a story, how there's usually a character, and the character does not necessarily need to be a human all the time. It can be a woman, it can be a man, it can be a thing, it can be an animal, right? What are the examples of stories that have animals as main characters? Does anyone remember we talked about that?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Like Panchatantra and all.
Like Panchatantra, like the Jataka tales, like all of these stories that we've listened as children, that we've listened to as children, they all have animals as their central characters. If you take it, if you look at examples from the West, right, Aesop's fables, all these fables also have characters that are animals, and they're not always humans at all. And these animals have the ability to speak, right, and they function as the way humans do, but they're actually animals, right? And then there are stories that also have plants as their main characters, spirits, it can be anything. So basically, the character does not need to be a human or even a living thing for that matter all the time. It can be anything you can come up with. Right? So here I've given an example of two characters. I've created this character called Lata, who is a 20-year-old woman, and I've given her some attributes, some adjectives that I use to describe her. You know, what is Lata? Who is Lata as a person? She is a little bit irritable, but she's very, very kind, and she's also very, very ambitious. Right? So here I'm slowly building up the image of this imaginary woman called Lata. Right. Then the second element, of course, we talked about was a setting, right? Where is the story taking place? In which time is the story taking place? In which culture is the story taking place? What is the climate of the place in which the story is happening, right? So all of these things add to the experience of both storytelling and story and experiencing the story as well. So that also matters a lot. Here is an example of a good setting: South of India, university campus in a city, 1965. Right? So you can think of a story that happens, say, on the IIT Madras campus in 1965. Right? So that's the setting. And finally, the conflict, a conflict or a challenge, which is the central turning point of the story, the the story hinges on this main thing, which is a conflict. The main character is involved in a conflict, which is the why of the story. Why is the story happening? Because the central character is undergoing some sort of a conflict that needs to be overcome. Right. So, what conflict? Lata might be guilty of a crime, or Richard might have overheard a secret that he shouldn't have overheard, right? Or Lata is probably caught in a dangerous forest and she wants to get back to her university campus, right? So all of these little elements, when put together in the right manner, is what makes a story. But before we get to the actual storytelling part, we need to sort of create this basket of plot elements, right? What are the elements? Characters, setting, and conflict. There is a basket of ingredients that we first need to shop for. Right before you start cooking, you go out and you first shop for all of the ingredients that you need. So the first step towards good storytelling is to create a basket of good story elements. So which is what we're going to do in the activity today. So I'm going to put all of you in breakout rooms of 3 people each, right? Um, Within 10 minutes, take 10 to 15 minutes, think of a protagonist. In each room, you'll be 3 people. So one of you can think of a protagonist or the character. You write down 2 to 3 traits of this character. Like the way I said, Lata, 20-year-old woman, she's kind, irritable, and ambitious. So that would be how you can come up with the name of a protagonist. The second person needs to think of and write down a setting for the story. Your setting can be Ludhiana, Punjab in 2015, right? So it can be anything. I just gave the example of Ludhiana. The third person needs to write down a conflict or a theme for a story. The third person needs to come up with, okay, so what is Lata involved in Ludhiana? Like, what is the main conflict? Right? Maybe she has run away from her house for some reason, and that is the conflict. So you need to write down the central conflict or a theme for the story. So you work together, 3 of you in each room, come up with a plot basket, a basket of 3 main ingredients for the story, which is your protagonist or your main character, your setting, and finally the conflict for the story. Right? So far, so good. Any clarifications? Okay, great. I'm assuming the silence is a good thing. So once that is done, you need to add your plot basket elements to this document with the link for which I will share. Right? I will share in the chat. And after that, we'll tell you what to do. Okay. So let me just share the link to the document in the chat box. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm sharing the link. Can all of you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, go on to the document. Let me just do a preview of the document as well. I'll stop sharing. And I'll preview the document as well for you. Right? Is it clear? Once you look at the document. Okay, So let me put you all into breakout rooms if that is clear. All clear? Can I get a show of thumbs up from you? If it's clear, if the activity is clear, I will put you all into breakout rooms. Great. Breakout rooms. So that's 15 people, I think, which is about 5 rooms. Okay, I've opened the rooms. You can go join your rooms and discuss with your teammates. Any issue, Giant and Ronak?
Yes, ma'am. It was ejected automatically. I don't know, from the breakout rooms. So I joined this one.
You should still have, let me assign you again. Okay,
Assign me also, ma'am.
Mayank. Okay, I'm gonna assign you as well. And Ronak, I'm gonna put you in 3. Karthik, any issue in joining? Karthik C and Roshan, you haven't joined your breakout rooms yet. Is there an issue? Roshan Kumar Paranwal. Is there an issue in joining the breakout room? I'm assuming you're not around.
Hello.
So, hi everyone. I see that room 1 and room 3 have not done anything. Is there something wrong? Do you need more time?
No, we are done.
But you haven't updated the sheet.
Okay, okay.
The sheet needs to be updated, right? Because that's the point. What about room 3?
Yes, ma'am. Can we have the sheet link again in the chat, please?
Let me do that. Let me share it again. There you go. I've shared it. So Suhas and Kalyani are in room 5. Mayank is in room 4. Mayank and Roshan, who's unfortunately not joined us. Then we have Kaushik, Ronak, and Sneha in room 3. Ankit, Jayant, and Aban Ali in room 2. And Aditya, Anushri, and Karthik in room 1. Okay. So the next step for you guys is taking the story elements of the nearest even number, the nearest room to you, who is in the same color coding as you are, and using that to create a story together. Is that clear? So, for instance, you are in room 1, and then you want to go to, you have to create a story now. You will take the plot elements of room 2, right? So, room 1 students, the people in room 1, breakout room 1, take the plot elements of room 2 and create a story. And students in breakout room 2 create the plot element of, take the plot elements of room 1 and create a story. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So will room one and 2 will we all be made as another room again, like group of people discussing
Yes.
and making it?
I will give you the breakout rooms again. I just wanted to clarify this before we recreate it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay. So I will recreate the rooms again. I think room 3 is still filling things up on the group. And room 5 is also filling up. Right? Quickly, Ronak and room 5. If you can finish up fast, then I'll recreate the rooms and you can take about 10 to 15 minutes, 10 minutes to write a short story. You know, the short story doesn't need to be long, very long. It can be anywhere between, can be just as short as 300 words, right? And you can just narrate it back when you're back in class. Is that clear for everybody?
Ma'am, in my mobile, Google Docs is supporting. So can Raunak or in Sneha can update? I have shared my conflict about them. So can they
Kaushik, you're
update
in
for
room
me?
3, right? Yes, room 3 has
Yes,
been
yes.
updated. Yeah, it has been
Okay,
updated.
okay, thank you.
Okay, great. So I'm recreating the rooms right now. Room 1, you take the plot elements of room 2 and create a story. Room 2 take room 1. Similarly, room 3 takes room 4. Room 4 takes room 3. Room 5 is the odd one out. You create a story from your own elements. Okay? Clear, everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Oh.
Yes,
please
ma'am.
repeat.
You're from room 5,
Room
right,
3.
Suhas?
Room 3.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
So, Suhas, you need to just use the elements that you have created and continue the story, right?
Yeah, sure.
Write a proper narrative. Sneha, any question?
Yes, ma'am. Can you repeat? Room 3 people, which room?
You take room 4. If you see the document, it's all color coded, right?
Okay.
So exchange between the same color rooms.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So you take room 4, while room 4 takes
How
room
much
3
time, ma'am?
elements. 10 to 15 minutes. If I start now, I can give you 15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I'm recreating the rooms and all the best. Have fun creating a story. Okay. Hi, I can see that there are a few new people who've joined just now, but I'm not sure how I can incorporate you because we've already halfway through the um, activity. So you would have to begin from the first activity that we did, which is not very feasible right now. So I would suggest that you listen to what other people say once they get out of the room. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. So, have you managed to write the story? Have you managed to build a narrative?
Yes, ma'am. We built the story, but we couldn't able to write it on the document.
No need to write it on the document. So, one of you from each room can simply narrate it right now. And you can go back home and finish it and send it to me on email. Right?
Okay. Okay.
But for now, you can narrate the story. So, room one, does anybody want to narrate right now? Because the point of the storytelling workshop.
We would like to narrate a few minutes later.
Okay, room two.
Same condition.
two.
We've got no better content to tell actually, with the conflict they have given. But yeah.
Okay, so the conflict is not. So that's interesting. What is
Actually, ma'am, room 2 is taking room 3's conflict. Actually, ma'am, I was not completely can written the conflict. Conflict was, ma'am, like that boy, the runaway boy who is just of age 18 has lost his mother recently, and he is a voracious. I'm not. He is a very fond of cricket. He loves to play cricket and play crickets a lot. But his father has something. Father is very hard and fast for his education. That's why after as 1983 when the India World Cup, so to become a cricketer, he left. He ran away from his home. That was a
wait.
conflict,
This
ma'am.
is room 3, right? And room 2 has
Yes, sir.
taken room 3's conflict. Is it?
Yes, sir. Yes, I think, ma'am.
No.
No,
Room
ma'am.
2 has taken room 1's conflict only.
Room 4 has taken room 3.
Yeah, which is how it should be, right?
Oh, sorry, ma'am.
Yeah. So room 3 is all right. So room 2, you can, yes, the conflict that has been given in room 1 is not really a conflict. Correct? Is that what you were trying to say, I think, Jayant? Or who was it that was speaking before?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So that was what you're trying to say. So why don't you add your own little twist and then continue? You can take the base elements from whatever's been given and you can continue to craft a story by adding other elements, right? So you can definitely do that. How about room 3? Is room 3 ready with their story? I'm very, very interested in this because room 4's plot line involves a dog as the main character, which is very good.
Yes, we
Ma'am,
are ready. But we have to write it in the sheet. And we are ready with the story.
You're ready with the story, then you can just narrate it here.
Okay.
Writing you can do later. I mean, you're writing it on the sheet, you can do later. You can edit all of that later. But now just tell us the story. We'd all like to listen.
We thought of Shera, a young dog who were lost in a forest, who was lost in a forest, and that dog was going for a competition with his master.
Kaushik, let me stop you right there. Narrate it as if you were narrating it to a 10-year-old kid. You're not just explaining it to me. You're narrating it. You're telling me the story. So how would you tell this? Not just to me, to everybody else who's around here.
Ma'am, though we have discussed the story a lot, but actually it was not fully completed. So as we have started, it's like Sarah, a young, kind-hearted and an immature dog, ran away from his cruel old master. Recently joined a group of wild dogs of a forest for his daily livings. Every day in the forest, they go for hunting, they go for swimming, and they do a lot of fun stuffs. But there is one problem: the group is not completely packed. Leader of the group, as being a leader, was always try to like pulling others and shows his muscle power to the others. That's why though Sarah has become funny and kind, is is the leader does not appreciate him very much. So one day, they all together got a big feast, and they were continuously, and that's why the story is going still. I mean, conflict. I mean, it's a story, so it needs some turning points, right? So we're just trying to find
You're
it.
still working on the turning points.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
fair
yeah,
enough. So
yeah.
we've listened to half the story. It's been interesting. Okay, what about room 5? Suhas, the story of Suhas, I think.
Ma'am, it's not
Have you
finished
made it
yet.
an
Give us.
autobiography?
No. Yeah, it's kind of autobiography kind of
What
thing.
about Kalyani? Kalyani does not have a say in this?
Yeah, she's the one who is writing it.
Okay, great. Okay, so do you want to give us an idea of what your story is like?
We haven't totally decided yet. We are writing it as we are deciding it.
Okay, but you created the elements, right? How can you not have an idea of what the story is going to be like?
So, basically, the story is of a guy named Suhas who is 20 years old. He's basically very stubborn and carefree kind of guy. So through sheer luck, he got into a college of Atlanta in America. So he thought that actually we are still building that.
Okay. So he failed a university exam is a good conflict.
Yeah.
So you should probably build your story
Yeah,
around
just
it.
give us 5 minutes, we'll be over.
Okay, so I don't think everyone has 5 minutes because we have about 2 minutes left for the class to get over. But what we can do is you all can finish the story, write a proper 300-word short story,
Okay.
right? And you can send it over to because this is a small enough class, you can send it over to me at, let me just share my email ID, at this email ID, and I will get back to you with feedback, or we can discuss it in the next session also. But by the next session, please send a story of, based on these elements that you've chosen, of 300 to 500 words, a short story. All right.
So does each group have to give a separate story, or each individual has to create?
Each group has to send a separate story.
Okay.
So room 1 sends a story that is based on room 2's plot elements, and room 2 sends a story that is based on room 1's plot elements. Room 3 sends a story based on room 4's plot elements. Room 4 does the same with room 3, and room 5, which is your room, you just use your own plot elements. Okay, is that clear for everybody?
Maybe you are not
Yes,
allotted me a group. What can I do?
Dandu, you joined quite late. You joined about, at 5:30, by which time we had already started this entire process. So I just suggested that you listen in. That's all. Because we had started this
Ma'am,
activity.
we have a Suhas and me only, so we can join one another person.
Okay, then I'll assign Dhandu to your room. Okay.
Okay.
So you can get his email ID. You can get his email ID and you can work together if you want to. Okay. So the others, everything is clear. Room 1, Aditya, Anushri, Karthik, clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Ankit, Jayant, clear?
Yes, ma'am. But there should be a way to communicate with our team members, ma'am.
Get their email IDs, right? You all have your
Okay.
You all have your IITM email IDs, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can get your email IDs. Do you want me to open the rooms again so you can talk and get the email IDs? Or
Yeah,
Yes,
that would be nice.
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Please,
So
please.
I'll open the rooms again. You just get to know your breakout room colleagues better, and then after that we'll join in the next session. Okay, I'm briefly opening the rooms.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Hope you were able to get the contacts of your friends.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, Ronak.
Can you assign me to group number 3 once, because I was assigned to different group, room 4.
Right. Oh, sorry about that. I will move you to room 3, but I think Kaushik and Sneha have come out.
Okay.
But I've assigned you.
Can you please assign once again?
I've assigned you to room 3. Just get their numbers directly from, direct chat. But from the next time, you will have this only.
Okay.
Okay. So if anyone has any questions, you can ask me right away. If not, we'll meet in the next session. In the meantime, hopefully I'll get your stories, and which is tomorrow, right? So please try to write the story when you have time, and we'll have you narrated in class tomorrow. Okay,
But
any
there's
questions?
no link in the calendar, ma'am, like tomorrow's session.
Is there no link in the calendar? I'm afraid I don't know what to do with the
No,
logistics
tomorrow we
part.
just have a statistics class at 6 p.m.
At 6 p.m. We'll be done by 6, no? 5 to 6 is our session.
No, there is no link at all in the calendar. Like you will have that link, right? Workshop about English.
I
There'll
think
be
they'll
something.
update it. Maybe they've not updated it yet.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
But it's there tomorrow. It's there
Yeah,
tomorrow
sure.
and day after also.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure, ma'am.
Okay, then if anyone has any other questions, you can ask me. Else, we'll call it a day.
After that, can we update this in a doc? Like you have shared one doc. So can we make changes on that?
So no, that I will close now. Your stories you have to write in your own docs. I will close editing access for this one.
Okay.
Your stories, you just use the settings, characters, and conflicts from the doc. You write your own stories on separate documents per group, and each group you send me the document. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Can you share your Gmail ID?
I've already shared it. Let me share it again. Shruti@online. Okay, got it?
Yeah, ma'am. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. A story of 300 to 500 words. And all of you can take your time and work with others, maybe create WhatsApp groups and send me the document. Okay, so thanks for staying over time, and thank you for your participation, and have a wonderful rest of the day. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, ma'am. I enjoyed the session a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words.